What's going on, y'all? Shook here, back with another video on the Holy Paladin, doing some 3v3 with Plum on his Warrior and Sorgal on his Enhancement Shaman. We are running a little bit of Turbo Cleave. The queue session went pretty well. I'm running the Herald of the Sun build, and this is from the second week of the War Within Season 2. It's around 1850 to 2050 MMR is where we kind of bounced around. We did fight like a 2200 team, but we ended up losing that one, so I don't really count that. Right now that's about top 1000, which is pretty much where we want to be queuing at. We had a pretty good win-loss ratio with this comp. It was about 70%, which is pretty decent. This first match is against a Shadow Priest, an Affliction Warlock, and a Dis Priest. So lots of rot and dot damage. We're pretty much just going to be focusing the Warlock, trying to kind of lock him down. You can see me kind of like tossing out my Hodge on the Shadow Priest there. I'm going to be doing that a lot if I see him in positions where I don't think he can get dispelled. And it looks like he randomly starts DPSing me. I do use my magic bot there. They have 2 mass dispels, so they are going to end up getting it. Ideally, I would hope that they would both try and mass dispel, so I would be free to bubble whenever I want to, but it's just something that I have to keep in mind. There's ultimate penitence, and I'm going to go ahead and dispel. Each time I dispel the Shadow Priest dots, it's going to put that Horrify on me, so it's going to be a little bit difficult. You can see I'm going to go ahead and dispel there. I got the UA and the Horrify dot that time. That's why my health had a bit of a chunk taken out of it. Plum is going to sit there and kick the Warlock, and they are just kind of riding him. I do juke right there, and I got the precog. I'm going to go over here, cast a couple flash of lights. I'm going to get feared. Sorgal is going to trimmer me. So really good quick trimmer there. We are losing on mana, but the more rotations we get through our burst, we'll have a better chance of winning. So right here I do get feared, but the Shadow Priest is DPSing me, so I'm not super worried about it. Here's their power infusion, so my wings aren't quite on cooldown. I really want to match up my wings with their, kind of power infusion plus dark glare, but it's just not quite off cooldown yet. So it's unfortunate, but we are able to kind of stabilize, and I'm probably going to pop wings right here now that it's up, just again because they have dark glare and a lot of cooldowns rolling. Looks like we get the second paints up. I'm going to kick that Shadow Fury, and we are fully stabilized at this point, and we're not too far behind on mana. I'm going to juke and get the precog again so I can cast Tear's Deliverance. Looks like Plum is using his Intervene on Sorgal, and Sorgal is playing his alt shaman, which is a dwarf, and it's super powerful in this meta because you can take off a bunch of magic effects, and you can, it's just super strong. It can also take off bleeds if I'm not mistaken, so it's good against ferals and acid rogues and stuff like that. I'm going to Hodge him here. It looks like we get him dangerously low. He's going to have to swap, and then it looks like he dispersed immediately after the swap. I'm going to try and dodge this fear. It looks like one of them went for the fear on Plum and Sorgal, so I'm going to go ahead and dispel here. So I'm going to get horrified anyway. Plum is going to pop his heal. There's the soul rip from the Warlock, so in 5 more seconds, once that's down, we're going to have a good chance at taking down this Warlock if we can get a decent CC chain. So I'm going to go ahead and use my Hodge here, but probably the next Hodge I'll end up playing pretty aggressive if the Dis Priest gets in a bad situation or a bad position. I might use the Hodge on him and go for a Repent. So right here, Sorgal is getting dangerously low. We do have Lay on Hands available, and I am going to go ahead and use it on him. Here's another power infusion up. Again, wings isn't quite up. We're like 10 seconds off. In an ideal world, I would have just matched every single time. And here's the Dis Priest in a bad position, like I was saying. I'm gonna go over here and kind of try and pick us up, and I might go back over there behind the pillar. The reason that's not good for them is because I can Hodge him and then run over here, and they can't stop the Repentance. So I'm going to get the full Repentance. He has no trinket, Sorgal's going down, the Warlock's going down. You can see a lot of damage. I'm going to go ahead and bubble here just to ensure we don't turn this into a 2v2. And that is going to be that first match. So pretty tough because they're usually going to win the heavier the dampening goes just because they're a rot comp. But if we can get a good setup like that, we can kind of take them down. So this next match is against a Shadow Priest and a DK. You can see the DK riding on last season's Glad mount, so it kind of tells us, alright, this will be a tough one. Looks like he summoned his big pet. I do want to get out of that. He actually gripped me out of it into the blind over the silence there. There was the disarm, which is really good. It's kind of on his go. I'm going to use Blessing of Summer on Plum, and again, I'm just kiting the big pet away from everybody. Looks like he has it running back. Shadow Priest is going to get precog there. I'm going to go ahead and dispel all those stacks just to kind of force them to reapply. I kind of want to play this one passive because we do actually, we will win the mana battle in this one if we just plow into the DK and the Shadow Priest, kind of cleave them both, especially if they're playing like this. So Sorgal uses grounding there just because they're starting to have a little bit of a go. I'm going to try and juke the DK here in a second because again they're putting a lot of spread pressure. I'm going to use wings to kind of pick everybody up. It looks like he just wants to CC me, which is why he kind of keeps running back here. He's going to grip me. Yep, there comes the grip into the blind. It looks like currently we're ahead on mana. They're doing a lot of damage to Sorgal. My Tears Deliverance fell. Unfortunately, I had to burn Trinket there. It probably would have broken, but I was just too scared that it wasn't, because a lot of CC is taking quite a bit of damage to break after those changes, so I was just a little spooked there that Sorgal was going to get just randomly chunked, so I went ahead and burned my Trinket, trying to juke the DK. He's not falling for it. It looks like the shaman went for the wind shear, but I don't think that was on me. Here comes the Hodge. I was going for it, but he laid grounding and he used AMS, so they really didn't want me to use that Hodge. You can see me just kind of staying near the pillar again. Now I'm going to run at them. They're trying to stop me with a lightning lasso as well as a fear. The shaman really does not want me to get the Hodge. I'm going to go ahead and burn bubble here, and we do take down the Shadow Priest. They kind of got discombobulated a little bit trying to just stop me from getting any kind of CC. Because I do think they had quite a bit of pressure there, but we did too. This next one is against a very popular comp right now, which is a Fury Warrior and a Marksman Hunter. This one is just really tough to heal through. It's a lot of damage that's going to be coming out. This is also not a great map for us. You can see Plum jumping in there, going for the fear. We're mainly going to be focusing on hitting the Marksman Hunter, just because you can't let them do whatever they want, but again, it's really difficult. This is Sorgal going for the grounding on the trap there, which is really good for us. I'm going to pop wings off this and pick up Plum. Looks like we are chunking both of them, so that's really good. They didn't get much value out of that barrier, which is also really good for us. There's the swap. We're getting a lot of cooldowns early, which is a good sign. Sorgal goes for the shear on the priest, and we just have a ton of pressure. I'm going to try and kite this guy back here, but he's not going to fall for it. Looks like he popped Recklessness, and he's kind of just trading with Plum. There's the ultimate Penitence, so they have stabilized for the moment. Looks like the Hunter is trying to do big damage on Sorgal. He pops his wall, and it's kind of just chaos, especially with this map. Kind of hard to position. I really want to play this pillar, but I don't have a good option to. I don't have my sack back up, but I was DR'd on the stun, so he wasn't able to trap off that. Going for the Searing Glare, he did get the kick on me. Honestly didn't think he was in range for that. It looks like, on the pillar, it looks like right here they're doing more big damage. We still have Blessing Protection and Lay on Hands available. Plum's going to use Shout. Now we have Sack back available. He scattered me on that one because his kick wasn't back up yet. I'm going to use my bubble here just to ensure that we don't randomly get gibbed because we did take down the Hunter. So again, that comp is super hectic right now. Does a ton of damage. but we were able to squeak out the win by just out pressuring them basically, and they didn't get many traps, which is huge. If the hunter gets a bunch of traps, you're kind of just toast. So this next one is Feral, Unholy Decay. He's going to want to grip me, so I'm kind of just bouncing back and forth. That's all he cares about. I probably shouldn't have even poked my head out right there, honestly, because it's mainly just the Feral trying to do a bunch of damage to Sorgal, and I was able to pick him up before he got him in the clone, which is a pretty big deal. I'm trying to get up on this ledge, and I'm stuck there. It looks like I need to dispel Plum as soon as possible. Just those 3 stacks. I don't want him to be getting that up on everybody. Right here I was trying to hodge him, but he gets the clone. I'm just going to sit it. Looks like Sorgal uses his racial, so he's going to do quite a bit of damage here, and you see him chunking the DK. This is another scenario where we can just ride the Death Knight and we'll eventually win on mana, because Death Knights are super squishy. So as long as I'm able to keep us alive through their big cooldowns, we'll just eventually win this one on mana. That's just kind of how it goes. I am going to use my trinket on that Strangulate. Sadly, I am not on my Dwarf Paladin, so I can't use the racial for it. I'm going to hodge the Feral over there. It was super DR'd, which is a little unfortunate. He wants to grip, go for the Cleave. I'm actually going to use Freedom on myself just to get out of there. I don't want us all 3 to be clumped up together like that. And you can see this is kind of like a rot comp. The Feral's going to be bleeding everybody, and I'm just going to be basically doing spread healing. I'm healing Plum because they are actually doing big damage, but he's going for the Bladestorm, so we're pressuring them too. They're going to swap to Sorgal, and you can see I'm just trying to utilize all of my procs. I am going to get cloned here. It might be worth the bubble, but it looks like I'm going to go lay on hands instead, and I do lay on hands right before the Strangulate. Could have been dangerous to sit that one. That might have been worth the bubble, because he got dangerously low, and if that Strangulate had been just a split second sooner, it would have been game over. You can see we're handedly winning on mana, like I was saying, as long as we just sit here and keep going for the DK and the Feral. I mean, he's having to heal both of them. He actually used his Night Elf racial to get that stun on me. That's why for rogues and Ferals, Night Elf is just, I don't know, the #1 race for sure. It's not even close. So right here we're using our grounding. His Incarn is almost down. Looks like the Resto Shaman is trying to use Lightning Lasso to go for a kill on Sorgal. We still have Blessing of Protection left, although I might use the Magic Bop versus this team, just because the Shaman can dispel off regular Blessing of Protection. So looks like we are again just kind of chunking both of them. We're cleaving them down. They want to go over here to me. I still have bubble available. I'm trying to kind of juke them, but it was only the DK. I didn't notice that the Feral didn't have his kick quite back up yet. I'm going to try and cast Tears Deliverance here. I faked it again just to try and get them to bait them. I'm going to use Blessing Protection here. Sorgal uses his Fire Blood, and the Resto Shaman is pretty much completely out of mana. You can see them starting to really chunk Sorgal here. I don't have wings available. I did get the Tears Deliverance off. He's getting dangerously low. He missed his kick, which gave me precog, and I am able to pick him up. So really crazy rot damage here at the end. Looks like the Shaman is still just getting in here, trying to do everything he can to pick them up, but he's completely May have been better to go for the drink at this point and just force us to stop him from drinking, but we do eventually win on mana. So I hope you guys enjoyed these games. If you're new here, be sure to subscribe, drop a like, helps me out a ton. Let me know in the comments what healers you want to see more of. I am uploading a lot more this season. Let me know if you want to see more of the Holy Paladin, more of the Resto Shaman, or the Holy Priest. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.